Guys? Hope you guys are having a great Sunday. I'm doing pretty good. So I want to just kind of cut to the chase and just ask the simple question that's, been kind of on my mind this week, and that's, you know, do you know who you are? Have you been found? Do you do you know what your identity is? If someone asks you who you are, can you actually answer that? Or do you say, maybe what your job title is? So my idea behind today is that we need to be separated to find out who we are. Because in today's world, just as social creatures in general, as which we are, we're social creatures. Nothing wrong with that. It's phenomenal. But whenever we don't have our identity and we don't know who we're supposed to be, then that's kind of how the enemy, that's kind of how the world can come in and mess with us and get us to not know who we are. And it can say, you know, don't worry about who you are, do this thing, enjoy that drug, go to that party, sleep with that person and have fun and just live a little bit. But whenever you find out like who you are, your purpose, why you're here, what gives you that drive and that passion every single day to want to get up and not just to I need to get up so I can go to work so I can pay the bills and then, breeze through the weekend to just get 5 minutes to breathe. It's it's more of one of those, who are you? Why are you here? What makes you want to get out of bed and go do that thing because it just makes you feel alive. Now, to find that aspect, to find that purpose, you need to be separated from the world. So I had this like idea that, at least in particular for what happened with me in my situation a few years ago, was that, I had this thought of, God just separates us from the world so that we can find him, because he already knows where we're at, but we need to find God in our life. And this can go for your relationship with God. This can just go for you trying to find out who you are as a person in general. Again, where's your identity? Is it in a job title? Is it in your hobbies? Is it in your passion? Do you have one? Do you even know what it is? So whenever I was, growing up, lived the world, was doing all the worldly stuff for a while, and then I got out of the military and was like, okay, I literally have no identity because I put my identity in, that and my job and what I was doing, and I was completely separated from that, and I had no idea what to do afterwards. And the first year of a separation, if anyone in the military, is a very rough one, as is. It just it just sucks in general, but not even having anything to fall back on or anything of that nature, it makes it a lot harder. So I was super confused and all over the place. And, I had already made this deal with God. I was like, all right, when I get out, I'm going to go back to church. I'm going to go back to finding a relationship with you. I didn't. I ended up getting a relationship with a girl instead. And that took me down, other worldly dark holes of, nothingness and emptiness and just void. And, it didn't help anything, but I kept chasing it. So eventually, thankfully, I wasn't in that relationship anymore. And, I was just like super lost again and was just trying to find, I'm like, what's going on? What do I do? Who am I? And, so I look at it now years later and I can go, okay, God had to separate me, even though it sucked, even though it hurt from military, my best friends, my brothers, a relationship with a girl. I was like, it hurt, it sucked, but but I was needing to go through that to know God was there and he was always there in all the situations and he was the only one who actually stayed, nothing and no one else. So God was the eternal one. He was always there and I needed to see that. I needed to find that and build that relationship with him on my own. So I spent, you know, uh many months working on that. I realized that okay, God's separating me from these things to find him. So if he's not in these certain things that I'm doing, then I need to start cutting those out. And again, it's an idea. It's hey, here's what needs to happen. Here's steps one, two, three. And but it's much harder than that, obviously. So I was going to the bar all the time, several times a week, drinking, going out you know, with taking girls home, watching porn, just hating myself, cutting myself, bad areas, bad everything. It was like I just had nothing going. And I was just completely lost. So I went, okay, yeah, I need to like start cutting something out. If I need to be with God, where is he? Is he in the club? Nope. Um, he's not gonna be there oh, sorry. He's there because God's everywhere, but he's not there as in that's where he wants you to be because partying, drinking, drugs, sex, all this crap, that's not where he wants you to be, kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, there, not going to be a good place to be for me to spend that time and to find God. Drinking, obviously, girls, chasing those to fill something that only God could fill. So I'm like, okay, all these things that I'm doing, they are not getting me closer to God, so I need to start cutting those out. And with that time I had back, I was able to go to church, spend more time reading, praying, and just trying to find out who I was, doing all these things. It was what I was spending my time doing. So I was like, okay, God needed to separate me so that I was able to find him, spend more time with him, and discover who I was, finding my identity in him, and then finding out where, what it is that God called me to, and all the things that fall in that. So that's just like, short, at least as short as I can make it, of a quick background of like my process through this. So, I love this one quote from C.S. Lewis. He says, "Human history is the long, terrible story of man trying to find something other than God which will make him happy." And I mean that's what the world tells us today is we have to find this other thing that's going to give us this joy or this fun or just make us happy. And nothing in the materialistic world can give you that like God can, like his purpose, like his love, like his peace. Doesn't mean you don't deal with crap and you're not dealing with situations. It doesn't mean you don't suffer still, but God is the only one who can be able to be there to fill all of that. And when we try to fill it with a materialistic thing that will, die before we do, it's then you already know that you're kind of like playing a losing game. Because if you put it in the world, if you put it in the clubs, if you put it in drinking, if you put it in porn, sex, self-hatred, drinking, drugs, any and all these things that the world tells us is cool and normal and you should just do, then I mean, you're lost. Like I've never talked to someone who ever said, yeah, that was the best time of my life. It was like, no, that's when I was like lost. That's when I was confused. That's when I didn't know who I was. Or they're still in that situation, unfortunately. But whenever you can find that, or whenever you can be separated and find that time to spend with God and then he will reveal to you as you develop that relationship with him who you are. And here's the thing, even if you just want to find out who you are as what your capabilities are as just a guy in general. If you're if you're staying up all night, the all hours of the midnight morning stuff on the weekends, if you're drinking, if you're doing drugs, if you're running around doing all these certain things in the world, and you're never going to be able to become your best self. It's as simple as that because all those things are completely harmful to the body, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it. It's all bad in every way for you. So if you just want to become better, if you just want to find out who you are and what your capabilities are, and you keep trying to find it in the world, I know I did this. I have several other friends who I've talked to who've been like, I just need to find a relationship so then I can feel something. And I'm like, yeah, I've been there and it did not work. You felt something, it was just not good. It hurt, it sucked because it's going to go down the drain when you aren't a man of God, when she's not a woman of God, when you aren't doing godly things, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's just kind of my idea is that, where are we spending our time? Do you even know who you are? Can you even become your best self or even a good version of yourself? And, where's it all, where are you spending that time? So is you going to spend it working on yourself, building yourself up? Are you going to go to the gym, eat healthy, go to bed on time, build yourself up to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually better and invest your time? Or are you just going to waste it drinking and you're gonna have fun for the 5 minutes you're drunk, wake up sore, hungover, maybe high, whatever the case is, you're gonna be living in the world and it's gonna have an after effect that hurts even worse than the good little fake, I like to call it fake happiness or fake joy, fake pleasure that the world gives. You get drunk, you feel good for the few minutes, if you even remember, and then you wake up and you feel the after effects and you end up probably doing something stupid. Like there's never a time most of my dumbest decisions came after I had already been at the bottom of the bottle, expecting to not feel or remember something. And it really didn't work because I still felt it the next day and it only got worse. Brennan Manning has another or has a quote too. He says, "The deepest desire of our hearts is for union with God. God created us for union with Himself. This is the original purpose of our lives." I like that one, obviously, because when we can find out why our existence is here, then, he can kind of tell us what to do, how we can be happier, more joyful, live, love, laugh, blah, 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 all that stuff. And we can have a better, more fulfilled life versus, just living for the weekend, living for the next drink, the next high, the next whatever the case is. So, I mean, Second Corinthians 3:17 says, where the Spirit of God is, there is freedom. So, I mean, do you want to be free or do you want to live in shackles of this world? That's kind of all the world offers at best is fake pleasure. It's completely fake in every category. People are becoming more and more fake these days uh, because they just keep giving in to more and more and expecting something to come from all this fakeness, and it only makes you more and more fake, which really, separates everything because no one wants anything that's actually fake. They want the idea of what that they're trying to be fake about. And it's like, oh, they're really attractive. And it's like, but you're 10 pounds of makeup and all these filters, and she's got all this surgery, and she's actually a terrible person, or he's just doing the same thing. He's actually just faking it. He doesn't actually have that Lamborghini, and he doesn't actually have that big bank account, and he's actually just living in debt, but he's trying to show off. So we live in this world of all this fake stuff. So let's bring back the real, you know, who can you really be? Who's your best self? So that's just the idea today. Again, I can go on forever, but I'm really trying not to. So hope that was able to give some perspective and help or any number of things like that. Hope you guys have a great week. Love and blessings. See you next time.